It's been a month without an open bracket Smash Major, and to be honest, we've missed it. Over the chaos of the last weekend, the upsets, the intrigue, the redemption, and the return of the MKLeo Joker, we learned a lesson that we should never forget. When Tweak talks, you better sit down and listen. Welcome to Smash Journal's recap of LMBM 2023. Tweak has always been more of an idea than a man. The former top 2 player in the world never really found his true main for a while, but after a quiet COVID lockdown, he came back stronger than ever and won Ultimate Summit 3 with Diddy Kong, a character that nobody else was playing on a similar level. But after that, he didn't win another major for more than a year. He was still amazing, he was still flashy and could still beat Leo, but he wasn't Tweak. He wasn't a killer anymore. He wasn't the cold, calculated executioner that we had known in the past. It felt like something was missing from Tweak. All he needed was a bracket run suitable for redemption. This weekend proved again that we should have never doubted him. With every set being a best of 5, Tweak put together 10 set wins with no losses. He put up 4 set wins over players with major victories in Spargo, Leo, Riddles, and 2 more set wins over players with recent top 8 major finishes in Squid Plumber and Anathema, with every set bringing him closer to the crown, all while defending his home turf. He worked his ass off this weekend. After being Anathema in 5 close games to make it to top 16 winners, his path consisted of Riddles, who Tweak had an offline career of 1-5 against before this weekend happened. MKLeo's Joker, who Tweak had failed to beat in 9 sets pre-COVID with 4 different characters, and Spargo, who won their last 4 sets, all in winners or grand finals, all to win tournaments where Tweak finished second. But none of that mattered. When it came down to it, Tweak was just the better player this weekend. His movement is still obscene, his ledge traps are still dangerous, and his mix-ups are on point and deadly. But Tweak is playing with confidence we haven't seen from him in a long time. And it's scary that this might only be the beginning of the year of Tweak. We wrote Tweak off, but he didn't write back. In his last 4 tournaments, he's finished no worse than second. He won Port Priority 7, finished second at Main Stage's Gulf World Tour, and now he's won Let's Make Big Moves, defending Tri-State and the United States like only he can. His set record has been 38-5 at those last 4 tournaments. He's only lost sets to Spargo, who is one of the 3 best players in the world on his worst day, and Kronos, the Rising Star Snake main, in a matchup that Tweak has notoriously struggled in. If we're looking at the last couple of months, it's pretty easy to say that the 4 best players on Earth are, in no specific order, Akola, MKLeo, Spargo, and Tweak. And with Tweak getting on the board in 2023 and Akola winning a Japanese major this weekend in Umabura 9, this could very well be the first year we see MKLeo dethroned as the world's best Smash Ultimate player. Speaking of Leo, we finally got to see him play Joker again, and it was beautiful. He mostly stuck with Joker, except for a Marth game against Cosmos and 3 Byleth games against Quandale Dinglingleton, and implemented the new movement tech that emerged in the past 3 years that he has not spent playing Joker to make his Joker more deadly than ever. He wasn't simply able to pick Joker back up and notch some wins like he suggested he would, but his punish game is still deadly. He's utilizing gun dashes and slingshots to slip and slide freely. He is still playing solid, clean, and calculated to make himself less punishable. He was taken down by Tweak in winners, who was simply on a different level this weekend, but also lost to Sonics in losers semis. His loss here came in a Game 5 set where his Pyra and Mithra made an appearance in a dire attempt to close it out, but couldn't. Leo's run ended here at 4th place. That's an amazing placement, but not one we're used to seeing from Leo. As the Joker returns to the rotation and Leo is able to knock the rust off his trusty, red-suited thief, Leo is going to get way, way scarier. But the question still stands. Will he be able to catch up back to Spargo, Akola, and Tweak? While in the past it's been all MKLeo, the competition has been shaping up quite well recently. Genesis will be a great barometer for where the landscape stands going into this year, as all 4 of the players contending for the crown will be in attendance. Sonics proved again that, sometimes, he's not ready to lose, and after an early upset loss to MK Big Boss, he ran through Quick, Kronos, Cosmos, Riddles, Gluttony, and MK Leo before falling to Spargo at third. The only real surprise in top 8 was MK Big Boss, who has been a hidden boss of sorts in Mexico. Mexican players were aware of the threat that he posed, and the general thought was that he could beat anyone, but he just hadn't put it all together at a major. This was the major where it all came together. He beat Unabashed Camper and WeFit main Red Oolong in a 30-minute 5-game set to start off top 128, and then kept the party going with wins over Sonics and Cola. After a tough loss to Spargo, he beat Anathema and the Rob Ditto to make top 8. That really fit the theme this weekend of new beginnings. It really feels like something has shifted. There's turmoil at the top and new players are breaking out in a huge way. Florida Steve main Riku snagged the highest SPR of the weekend. Info on SPR and Upset Factor in the description, by the way. With an SPR of +5, with a run to 13th that included wins over Atada, Syrup, Epic Gabriel, Quandale Dinglingleton, and reverse 3-0 over Shattuck to put him into top 16. Riku plays Steve like he's Bugs Bunny, seemingly always having the right tool and material for the situation at hand, and always connecting with explosions and an anvil to the head when he's in a jam. 3 players finished with SPRs of +4, all of these players showing off their skills to rack up big wins to prove themselves. Palutena main Jen is looking like the player he was pre-COVID. He was ranked in area 51 of the first PGRU, taking time away from serious competition shortly after. But now Jen can add this performance to his resume, along with a 9th place finish at Let's Make Moves Miami in October and a 25th place at Glitch Regen. He had a brutal bracket run, but Jen found himself winning match after match, beating former number 1 in North Carolina Sen, and then winning back-to-back Bayonetta sets with Girly Teen Queen, also known as Tejuice, the current number 7 in New Jersey, and Geist, the number 1 player in Ohio. That was all in winners, and after a loss to Zomba, he kept the run alive, beating C and Omega, before snatching his marquee wins over Tilde and Jake, ending with 9th place against his 45th seed, and a total upset factor of +4. The world's only Lucario main, Armadillo, went on a crazy run. Originally the 71st seed, upset Shinji in pools in 5 games, then beat Jake 3-2 with reverse 3 stock in game 5, and Quick in another 5-game set. As it turns out, the best player of character that thrives living on the edge is pretty good at living on the edge himself. Lucario is arguably one of the most inconsistent characters in the game, but Armadillo is willing to ride the wave, and he has a very, very strong Aegis in the wings that can help him win matchups that Lucario struggles in. It's interesting to see Canadian players come to perform on American soil, and Armadillo represented the Canucks well this weekend. Apple was the 3rd player with a +4 SPR. The Ices and Steve co-main from Florida was for some reason seeded quite low compared to their previous performances. As the 223rd seed, and instead of complaining about it, he upset T3 Dom, Stocktaker 69, and Brujo to finish 49th with a total upset factor of 10. Real quick, we'd like to ask you to like or comment or even subscribe to help get this channel off the ground. Anything means a lot and it takes just 2 seconds. Or you could just check the channel out to see if you like some of the other videos on the channel if this isn't quite your speed. Back to the recap. The entire tournament was best of 5, which is nearly unheard of for a tournament of this size. And while the extra games added to the docket means that we got to watch more Smash Brothers, it meant that there wasn't going to be as many upsets as there would be in a best of 3 pools, right? Don't tell that to players like Morley, the St. Louis Snake, who made an upset in his winners round 2 to set up a date with Lima, who he reverse 3-0'd. Then, after losing to Girly Teen Queen in 5 games, he beat Sen in game 5 to make it out of his pool as the 276th overall seed, the 3rd lowest seed to make it behind Minty Flesh at 317 and Nitty at 289. Morley's wins over Lima was the biggest upset of the weekend via Upset Factor, with an upset factor of 8. And Morley's run proved that St. Louis has more talent than just Apollo Kage, their strongest soldier. Kronos and Enhanced PV have both been ranked first in their home states, Colorado and Maryland respectively, and went on deep tournament runs despite getting upset in pools. Kronos was upset by Stefan, a Steve player from New Jersey who was previously ranked as high as number 5 in the state, then won 7 sets in a row to make it to 13th. His first 5 sets and losers were all sweeps, including wins on WebJP, Boosk, and Meister, giving Kronos another top 10 win after his win over Tweak at the last Genesis, and his win over T at main stage in December. But it didn't stop there. He beat Leon 3-2 and Zomba 3-2 to make it to the tournament's final phase, cementing himself as one of the best snakes in the world along with Apollo Kage, Dio, and Shogun. Enhanced PV, the 16-year-old Cloud got upset by Smirk, the Ken main recently ranked number 1 in Colorado, but then had an equally impressive run that included wins over Ling, Andrew T, and Ned on the way to reverse 3-0 against Onan, one of the best players in the world right now. Enhanced has only started traveling recently, and if his recent performances are indicative of what we might see in the future, he could soon become a threat at a higher level in major brackets. Before we tell our last story, we'll go through a few more young players that continued their rise to top level. Pacific Northwest main Jaja got solid wins over Gatsby and Apple, along with a huge upset win over Peebnut to finish 33rd. Red Oolong secured upsets over Yoshio and Chunky Kong and was one game from beating MK Big Boss, but couldn't quite finish him off on his way to 65th. And Ohio Zero Suit Samus main Doorstop played phenomenally, beating Waidu, Mr. Zircon, and knocking last year's LMBM champion Quid out of the tournament at 33rd. Doorstop finished 25th with an SPR of +2. Our final story of the weekend is about Philadelphia Bowser Jr. legend, Yoda Cage. Yoda has the best results of any Bowser Jr. main after the lockdown period, and consistently performs well at bigger tournaments despite being fully employed and playing Morton Koopa. On Saturday, he came into the bracket swinging, sending his second round opponent Reflection down into losers with a commanding 3-0, and took the first 2 games against Base Mage in his second round, setting the stage for quite an upset. Luck would not be on Yoda's side, and Base Mage would work his way back to a Game 5, finishing the game off with a stunning comeback, knocking Yoda out of winner's bracket. Yoda Cage was pissed, which makes sense. He punched the stage after his loss, spraining his wrist. For most people, that probably means the end of the weekend, but Yoda's not most people, and he decided that he was going to power through it and continue to play. After that loss, he won 4 sets with a hand and a half, including wins on Shu, Peanut, and Luma. He eventually lost to Quick, bowing out at 33rd, but he locked an SPR of +2 and a reputation as someone with the heart of a champion. We're not advocating playing through injury, everyone knows their own body, but this weekend was big on players working their asses off and being rewarded for their efforts. All the way down, this weekend proved how hard this game can be, but players from across the continent showed up and kicked off 2023 in the best and most impressive way possible. Just an added note, there wasn't anywhere to put this in the video, but someone named Ish beat someone named Ish Evil in 3-1 in a real set. We think that's cool and funny and worth talking about. Good job protecting the timeline, Ish. We're going to try to make these recaps every time there's a big tournament like PG Stats did when they were operating. We want to keep people in touch with the scene even if they don't have the time to pay attention to the little things. If you stick with us, we'll do what we can to make this channel the best it could be. Do you have any ideas for videos? Tell us in the comments or join our Discord to pitch ideas to us. And if you want to help out, follow the team on Twitter and subscribe to the channel to help us get off the ground. You don't have to, we're not your mom, but it would mean a lot to us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.